welcome to Leaving Crazy Town with Finn and Sarah.
I'm always laughing.
Today we're going to talk about what?
We're going to discuss communication because Finn and I were just having a discussion and we were talking about our relationships.
We're like, is it a gender difference?
Yes, that's what we're wondering. Are these different communication styles the differences between men and women? And as we just watched like 13,000 Instagram videos on the differences between men and women.
And here's a quiz. What I want you to do is I want you to ask somebody, friend, husband, wife, whatever, ask them a yes or no question. Okay. And then get back to us. Do they answer with a yes or no? Or do they explain everything around and do all the processing out loud to you? And then let us know what the gender was of that person.
All right. I mean, let's face it. I mean, now I'm going back to my dissertation. All right. Because, I mean, I'm just saying.
And that, like I said, the answers have to be like dissertations.
Women develop in connection and men supposedly develop in autonomy.
However,
okay, go ahead.
However, I was raised socially female.
Yes.
So, is it...
That's a great question.
Biological, like the testosterone on board that changes that? Or was I always like that?
That's a great question.
Yeah, I don't know.
We're going to give you a few examples of a communication distinction, and then we want you to think about, geez, does my husband or wife do that, or does my son do that, or is that just their personality? All right, let's give an example of what we were talking about earlier. So I sometimes, with my sweetie, we live in two different states, and sometimes I have this experience of feeling disconnected from him. And he works full time, and I need to like talk on the phone. I mean, texts are good. I can feel connected.
She wants to communicate.
I need to communicate. I need to feel that he's listening, connecting. I have a big connection need.
And when Sarah tells me what she calls him and says, I immediately was like, oh, God, I hate that question.
Okay, so the other thing is, this is the difference. So when we first started dating, his available time was 9 o'clock at night to talk. Now, I am like asleep by then, okay? So it was not a good option for me. So I made a request and I said, could you call me during the day? So he's been calling me on the way home from work at like 5 o'clock. All right. So
that's nice. He acquiesced.
Yeah, well, he's so great. If I ask him, I make a request, he's been really great with that. So, okay, like we talk about on this channel, ask for what you want and need. Okay, so what happens is he's calling me on his way home from work and he says to me, like, how's your day been going? And of course I tell him, I've already literally left him a voice to text probably 3 hours earlier about my entire day's schedule. Okay.
Delete.
Okay, I know.
Delete.
Okay, which I don't know, it's a need of mine, right? So then I'll say, so he'll want to know how I'm doing and I'll say, no. I really need to know how you're doing, how your day's gone.
Fine.
So Finn, I said that to Finn and Finn goes, does he give a one-word answer? And what Tom has been doing, which is so lovely, is he'll start kind of sharing something that happens at work. But the other night he said... Oh my
God, it must be like torture to him. I can't even...
So the other day he says to me after he's like telling me this stuff, he goes, wow, I've literally never done this with someone. And I'm thinking to myself, you have been married twice. You've been in tons of relationships and you've literally never told someone how your day's been?
Yeah, but isn't that kind of irrelevant unless something significant happens?
No, not at all. All right, so to me, and again, this could be gender, it could be my need. I want to feel connected to my person, and how I feel connected is I have him share his thoughts and feelings about what he's been experiencing. So that's my need. What about you? All right, so give me some examples of your relationship.
Well, I do try to call my girlfriend, and she'll say, how was your day? And I said, I think the last time we had this conversation, I said, good, busy. And then she just started to tell me how her day was.
I would feel completely disconnected.
And it was going on and on. And I'm pretty sure it started with in the car on the way to work and then ended with, well, I can't remember, but I blocked it out. Anyway, what was going through my mind when she was telling me this whole thing is, I didn't ask her how her day was. Why is she telling me? And it's not that I don't care. It's just that there's a big difference between I had a rough day, some things happened, and let me recount my day.
Right.
Right? So it feels like a lot of information I don't need.
This is really interesting, though. When you're saying that, to me, it's not so much, this is a great distinction. It's not so much what Tom did, it's how he experienced what he did. So again, if he said, oh, so-and-so came in to buy a car, that's great. But when he says, geez, these people came in and they talked about this and that made me think about this, like it's more how someone is experiencing their life rather than, you're right, rather than me saying, geez, I went to Linda's house, it's more how I experienced
right,
going
but
to the
I
house.
said my day was good and it was busy.
Yes. Right.
That's how I experienced the day. The details are just a bunch of fluffination.
But do men, and this is a question to our audience.
It just feels like a lot of information coming at me, and it's exhausting.
Please write your opinions, because we're really trying to figure out, do most men think, and I remember my son saying this to me once when he got home after with a couple of women, he goes, they just talk so much.
Well, I have made, sorry, I cut
Go
you
ahead,
off.
no, go.
I remind myself that this is, like, I literally am not in discussion about daily activities because I like it. I will listen and force myself to engage in it because I know people I have dated and my girlfriend likes it. And, you know, Margaret used to meet me at the door when I got home from work after like 14-hour day. And she would be like, la, 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 the minute I opened the door. And I was like, so there was some conflict around that. And we decided she would give me a few minutes to adjust to being home.
Yes.
But I've learned to listen when I can.
Yes.
Because I know the other person likes it. But at no point have I enjoyed it.
Okay, great distinction. And I also was just thinking, it really comes back to what each person needs in their relationship. Like identifying a need. We always talk about identifying your needs. And they do change. Like I remember when I was working full-time at McLean, I was so overstimulated that when I got home, I don't want to talk either. So I do think some of it is context. Some of it is how much you communicate during your day, whether you're isolated or not. And another is just your certain communication need. And number 4, how do you feel connected to someone else? Someone might feel connected by sexual, interactions. Someone else might feel connected if I'm sharing my deep thoughts. Someone else might feel connected watching a baseball game together. So I think it also goes to how each individual feels connected to their partner or another person. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I feel very connected after physical intimacy.
Yeah. Which I think is, not that women don't also, but I do think men, I've read this in several books, that it is a way that men feel connected when maybe they don't in other ways. So I do think that may be a gender difference.
Yeah, it sounds to me like it is across the board from maybe not necessarily everybody, but a lot I've read and listened to as well.
Yes.
The other thing is in communication styles, when I was talking to my girlfriend recently, we're going on a trip and we were paying for ourselves, but I ordered, kind of like when you and I order tickets and you Venmo or whatever. I told her how much each thing was that she asked. So she was then trying to calculate like how much money to possibly bring each day to spend and all this stuff. And all this processing was being done out loud at me. Right. And I said, could you not process your thinking out loud? I mean, it was a touchy situation to navigate. But her processing out loud to me.
Yes.
I was like, shoot me now.
Yes.
And I said, can't you just tell me what you come up with at the end? And she's like, well, I want you to understand how I came to the... And I'm like, I don't need to.
Right.
I don't need to know that why you want to go to the Italian restaurant. If I say, where do you want to eat dinner? Just tell me the Italian restaurant. Why do I need to know why? Or if you want to eat lunch at 1, okay, why do I need to know why? You know what I mean?
This is so fascinating because I am a bottom line person in a lot of arenas. Like so difference between Tom and I. Tom is a review person. So we go to the gym at night, then we decide where we're going to go eat. And he will Google all these restaurants and look at reviews. And he'll start sending them to me on the phone. Now, for me, just pick a restaurant.
Right.
Because I don't care. I literally don't care. I can eat anything, but I am not someone that needs to like look at each menu. In fact, it makes me insane. I sometimes
wonder
really
if people don't want to pick a restaurant because they're afraid that it's not going to be liked.
Yes.
But if I'm saying, where do you want to go pick a restaurant?
Yes.
I'm not going to blame you for the choice.
Yes.
I know I could do more research if I wanted to.
Yes.
You know?
No, but that's a great point. So really looking at communication, knowing what's important for you, also knowing how do I feel connected. And then we're giving these examples of, I might have a certain need about needing more information about something and someone else may not. So it's honoring your differences, but also honoring what works for you. Because yes, I'm definitely a bottom line person in a lot of stuff. I can't, well, you know that. We tried to take a computer class. Oh my God. All right, forget that. I was overwhelmed within the first 5 minutes. So takeaways from today.
I forgot about that computer.
I know. Takeaways from today.
Less is more. For Finn, anyway.
You know what, to me, the takeaway from today is knowing what you need in communication, being able to ask for it. Also, if you need more explanation or more information, ask for that.
Yeah. And I've, like, with my girlfriend, I did explain to her that it's harder for me to get all this information on my way home from work or right after I've been with people.
Yes.
So she's starting to understand my nuances of needing to be in quiet and alone versus when I can like be attentive because I want to be attentive, but it's not always effective for me. It drains me. So to communicate that and get a better understanding, like I know that's her need, like Tom knows your need is to talk, so he's calling you.
Right.
Like to give a little where you can, but also like that requires speaking up.
Giving a context to me is so huge because very often if something doesn't feel right and I ask a question, I say like, what's going on? And then the person says, oh, it's because of this. It totally clears the air. Yeah. And now we've talked too much and Finn's going to fall asleep.
Sorry.
Fasten your seatbelt. Write some comments about what you think might be gender and what's just personality. We love you. Fasten your seatbelt. We're leaving.